what to do when family triggers you at Christmas. You can be emotionally intelligent, successful, and still get triggered by your family at Christmas. And if this lands, good. Because it means you're human, not failing. So in this video, I want to help you understand why family triggers come up so strongly at Christmas or around this season of holiday, what actually is happening inside of you when they do, and most importantly, how to support yourself through it without shutting down, exploding, or abandoning yourself. I'm going to walk you through the 3 most common experiences people have at this time of the year, whether you're surrounded by family, feeling lonely, or carrying emotional weight into the new year. I'll share practical, grounded ways you can meet each of them with awareness or more awareness, stability, and self-trust. This isn't about fixing your family, and it's not about losing yourself. I've had the privilege of working with thousands of people through our programs like Awaken, Inspire, the yoga teacher training, Inner Circle, and people who are intelligent, successful, self-aware, yet still find themselves triggered around family and relationships around this time of the year. Here's what I see happen again and again with high-performing people at this time of the year. You're tired, but not in a way that sleep can fix. Your routines are disrupted, your structure disappears, and suddenly there's more space. And when there's space, things surface. Old emotions, old roles, old patterns you thought you were past. Not because you're regressing, but because your body and nervous system finally has room to speak. So it does. Let me describe a few scenarios. See if you relate to any one of them the most. First one is, you're with your family. You're sitting at the Christmas table. On the outside, things look fine. On the inside, something tightens. Someone says that thing. Someone uses that tone. A comment lands that hits a much older place within you. And suddenly, you're not the grounded, capable adult you are elsewhere. You notice yourself shrinking, managing, staying quiet to keep the peace, performing maturity instead of feeling free. And then alcohol enters the space, and boundaries get sloppy. People say things they wouldn't usually say, and you feel yourself bracing. You become more alert and tense, holding yourself together, and underneath all of this, there's often grief. Grief for the relationships you wish you had, the emotional safety that never quite existed, the version of connection you hoped would arrive by now. And then comes the most painful layer, the self-judgment. Why does this still affect me? I've done so much work on myself. What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Family doesn't create the reactions. It reveals what hasn't yet been integrated or could have some healing in. The second one is you're alone or you feel lonely. Maybe this isn't about Christmas. Maybe it's quieter. And even if you are strong, independent, and capable, loneliness has a way of showing up more clearly at this time of the year. You notice reflections creeping in, life choices, relationships, paths not taken. You're quietly questioning, is this really how my life is, or is going to be, or is going to continue to be? Did I choose myself enough? And because you're functional, you don't fall apart, you just carry it internally, or you just push it down or swallow it, or whatever your usual strategy is. That doesn't make you weak. It means you're paying attention, but maybe too much attention that you're hypervigilant and tense in your body, in your nervous system. The third one is, any one of these might not relate, but maybe a combination. There's a pressure you can feel, which is, I don't want to bring this into the new year. But no one ever taught you, or you never learned how to complete a year emotionally. So you plan, you distract, you think ahead. I call this moving the furniture around the living room, metaphorically, and doing the things outside and ignoring what's actually stirring or speaking within. Meanwhile, your body and your nervous system is overstimulated, undersupported, and reactive. This isn't a mindset issue, it is a regulation issue. So let me be clear. This is not about fixing Christmas. It's not about cutting people off. It's not about pretending you're fine. It's about supporting yourself and allowing yourself to be supported through a season that reliably brings all things up every year. Being triggered doesn't mean you're failing your growth. It means that there are parts of you asking to be met, not managed. They're asking to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, to be loved. For you to release and for you to come back to your wholeness. And when your family triggers you, the work is not asking, why am I like this? The work is asking, what part of me is being touched right now? As in, which version of me through time? That awareness alone creates space. As Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is not theoretical, it's cultivated. Through our practices, you can self-guide it through yoga, through meditation, through deep breathing, and then deeper in our body of work, the story work, the transformational work. You could say it addresses really what happens in Christmas is kind of an epitome of how the story gets triggered and re-triggered, right? So if you look at how the story work works, something was said or not said enough of, done or not done enough of at some point in our timeline in the past, because the future hasn't come yet in this physical existence. So therefore it brings up something in the past to be seen, to be given attention to be healed, right? So this is an opportunity, this time of year is an opportunity when stuff comes up. As I've probably heard me say before, conflict is an opportunity for a deepening of love. And when we look at it from the perspective of the story work, yes, you can do all the yoga and the meditation and it does help. And then you hit a certain point where you need to go deeper. And what comes up is revealing what needs space within the entangling of the story itself, how it got fixed in a point in time and space, and how we got frozen in that time and space, playing out this narrative, this story, unconsciously until we make ourselves conscious, which is what this work is about. So if you're already practicing yoga, or at least you're practicing our type of yoga, then you're practicing conscious breathing and movement, and this gives you agency in guiding yourself to create the space that I'm talking about. Thich Nhat Hanh said, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. And I'll add to that and say, on top of conscious breathing, we do the conscious breathing within our movement practice, the conscious movement, which is yoga. And I'll add to it meditation. These are all things that you can guide yourself through, or in our work, you can be guided through if you want. And the next part of it is the energetic element to the meditations that we do, where you're guiding yourself through a healing every time you're doing a meditation. It's where you meet the parts underneath the reactions. And the second one is when you feel guilty for needing space. Needing space doesn't mean you don't love people. It means you're learning internal boundaries. An internal boundary is not withdrawal. It's presence without self-abandonment. As Epictetus said, it's not what happened to you, it's how you react to it that matters. When pain or sadness shows up, pain isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. As Khalil Gibran said, your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Pain doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be listened to. It needs to be given space, as I've said before. If you've done our Awaken and things like that, you'll know it's by giving space that healing becomes possible. It is the first step towards healing. And above all, met with compassion. And as the Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserves your love and affection. And from our meditations and teachings here, you would know love is about the only frequency that heals. And really it can heal anything. So it's time for you to receive it from you. when you're afraid of carrying this into the new year. You don't move forward by bypassing what's here. As Soren Kierkegaard said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Understanding gives you freedom, so you can step forwards without dragging the past behind you. And remember, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, as Marcus Aurelius said. How you meet this season shapes how you enter the next one. And this is where responsibility comes in. It's not about self-blame, it's about leadership, leading yourself. Not, I should be better at this, but I choose how I meet this. Not perfectly, not ignoring what's true or stirring within, but honestly. And that's how cycles change. If you're not in this body of work, you're listening and thinking, I resonate, but I don't know how. How do I do this? How do I apply this? Or I know the steps now, thanks for sharing it, but I don't want to do it on my own. And that's why I've created our Elevate Inner Work Challenge. It's a free 7-day journey where I guide you daily through grounding practices like yoga and meditation, emotional awareness, body and nervous system support, and reflection and release and healing work. You can simply follow along and let yourself be guided and supported, and I highly recommend starting now, not after New Year. Create the foundations first, and the link will be below if this speaks to you. I'll leave you with this from Rilke. Try to love the questions themselves. Live the questions now. This season isn't a problem to solve. It's an invitation to deepen your relationship with yourself and through that with others.